Hello everybody, my name is Kinrock and today we'll be going over the much needed what if Sakura never existed in Naruto, aka what if there was no Sakura. Now, a bit of the reason why I'm doing this is because it's been going around recently in the Naruto community that Sakura is a useless character. I had planned to disprove that was this what if. Mostly because the idea that someone's useless would imply that if they're not in the series, it wouldn't change as much. So let's go over why that's not true. Now, as this probably doesn't come as a surprise to most Naruto fans, Naruto doesn't change a whole lot from the beginning. He still fails the graduation exams. He's still told by Mizuki about the secret scroll and goes to steal it, learning the Shadow Clone Jutsu. He still has to fight off Mizuki and beats him up with 100 clones, and it's eventually graduated by Iruka, allowing him to pass the exam to become a full ninja. And here's where we get to the first big change. Because Sakura doesn't exist, she's no longer on the team, but Naruto still ends up forming Team 7 with Kakashi, Sasuke, and for the sake of argument, will be a third ninja who we'll just put down as Mystery Chan. I ain't the best with names, and all honesty, it doesn't really matter all too much. Along with still being a part of Team 7, Naruto still ends up going to the Land of Waves. It was in fact Naruto's complaining that got them there when he was upset with this lack of actual fighting when he became a ninja, complaining to the third. So him, Kakashi, Sasuke, and Mystery Chan end up going to the Land of Waves to escort the bridge builder. Now on the way to the village hidden in the rain, the Team 7 is still ambushed by the assassin ninja in order to kill the bridge builder. Not too longer after that, we have the Sabuza fight where Kakashi is captured in a water prison by Sabuza, and Kakashi and Sasuke and Naruto are forced to rescue him via the Demo One Shuriken technique. Kakashi then goes and reveals the Sharingan, taking out Zabuza, in which case Haku shows up and takes the body still. And as you can imagine, this is where we start getting to the real big changes. Because Sakura's not around to help Naruto and Sasuke out with chakra control, they don't learn as well as they did in the original series. Meaning, Naruto and Sasuke don't have the ability to control their chakra as well. This has a few problems in this arc alone. One being, Sasuke isn't able to keep up with Haku as well, and is consequently taken out just as even easier than he was in the original. Things pretty much go back to normal for a good minute there. Naruto still gets his rage boost, allowing him to use partial parts of the Nine Tails power, allowing him to defeat Haku with relative ease, and Kakashi still nearly takes out Zabuza. Zabuza still turned on by the person who hired him, and he goes and kills them, allowing the bridge builder to finish his project. And Naruto, Sasuke, Kakashi, and the rest of Team 7 still go back to the village, fine and well, ready for the Chunin exams. Now, for the Chunin exams, I'm not going to go into too much detail. Not too much changes for the first part. The Forest of Death pretty much goes about the same as it does, along with the written exams. And Naruto and Sasuke still win their respective fights pretty much the same way. Sasuke uses Sharingan to record and memorize Rock Lee's fighting style, which allowed him to get his win in his fight. And it was Naruto's failure of chakra control that actually helped him in his, so that still happens. But for those of you who would like to know, Ino does win her fight, though, since there's no Sakura in order to get inside Ino's head in order to get her to go easy. So, there, at least Ino fans get that. And now we get to the biggest consequence of there being no Sakura. That is back to the lack of chakra control that Naruto and Sasuke would have at this point. Because of this, Sasuke doesn't learn the Chidori around the time when he needs it in order to fight Gaara. This is a problem because Gaara was already planning to kill Sasuke, and we know that he probably was more than capable enough to do it, especially with Sasuke without the Chidori, since he'd have no way of actually hurting Gaara. So in this timeline, unfortunately, Sasuke does fall and get killed by Gaara. Now, as you can imagine, this angers Naruto greatly. Now, if people who watch Naruto remember, Naruto got really upset just from Hinata being really, really hurt. So you can imagine how angry he's going to be seeing Gaara kill Sasuke right in front of him. This would, as you can imagine, would spark a battle between the nine-tailed Jinchuriki Naruto and the one-tailed Jinchuriki Gaara of the sand. Now, the only way I see Naruto winning this is if he gets a boost from the nine tails. He still has the Gamma Bunta and all that, but Gaara in this timeline wouldn't be nearly as exhausted as he was against Sasuke, because he hadn't actually had to do that fight. Luckily for Naruto, I do see the rage pushing him over to use at least version 1 cloak. It's a bit early, but it's an extreme rage, and at this point he had thought of Sasuke as a brother, so it makes sense. Now, in all honesty, I can't guarantee that Naruto would be able to win this fight even with version 1 of the Nine Tails power, but I am more reluctant to say that he'd be able to win. He's not as powerful or as durable as Shikaku is, but he is a lot more durable than what he was when he fought Gaara in this form the first time, and he has a lot more power, and he has the range via his chakra cloak and all that. He's also a lot faster than Shikaku should be, so even though Naruto doesn't have the Rasengan or wouldn't be able to do his summoning, he'd still be able to get to Gaara and beat him out that way. So around this point in time, Itachi and Kisame get into the Leaf Village to look around for information on Naruto and all that. It's around about this point in time where Itachi finds out about the death of Sasuke, but without being able to mourn or anything, he goes on with his job all the same. He is still confronted by Kurenai and Asuma and Kakashi, and still ends up putting Kakashi in the coma using the Tsukiyomi. And as you can imagine, Itachi and Kisame still go to abduct Naruto from the hospital. Since there's no Sasuke here, since he died in the last part, he won't be able to interfere. But for the sake of argument and keeping the story going, I'm going to say Jiraiya just happens to make it there in time to stop the abduction. The next arc goes pretty much the same, except towards the end, but I can explain that. So they still go to get Tsunade in order to help get Kakashi out of the coma and to get the 5th Hokage. Well, on the way, Naruto is told and taught the basics of the Rasengan and starts to master them. He's still given the bet with Tsunade to try and master it within a week, and they still end up having to fight Kabuto and Orochimaru. Now, I can see Naruto learning the Rasengan towards the end, especially when it comes to the fight against Kabuto, for a few reasons, but the biggest one being Naruto would still want to become the Hokage, and he'd still have an idea of, well, the best way I can put it is how powerful certain abilities can be. And when he found out that the Rasengan's a jutsu of the 4th Hokage, you gotta believe he's gonna want that at that point. Now we get to Shippuden, my favorite part of Naruto, in my opinion, one of the better half of it. And the beginning of it starts off pretty much the same. Deidara and Sasori still go to capture Gaara, because in this timeline, I can't see Naruto killing Gaara. Even in the most outraged form, I don't see it happening. It's definitely going to take a lot of them for that fight anyway, so Gaara still survives to become Hokage. Deidara still goes and captures him. Biggest problem here is there is no Sakura to help fight off Sasori. So Sasori is probably going to win this fight, leading in the death of Chiyo, which means after this arc, there is no Gaara, because Gaara is now dead. Deidara still probably gets away from Kakashi and Naruto just as fine, and Sasori goes on to meet up with Kabuto. Now we get to the Sasori meeting up with Kabuto part. There's no reason why I can see Orochimaru not attacking Sasori right there and then with Kabuto. He already wanted Sasori dead, and I'm pretty sure that's what the meeting was somewhat going to be led to. So now we get what could have possibly been a great and fun fight. Orochimaru and Kabuto taking on Sasori of the Red Sand. Now, although I think this would be a good fight, Orochimaru's winning hands down. There's no way Sasori's beating both Kabuto and Orochimaru, especially since I'm pretty sure Orochimaru was more powerful than Sasori by himself. And for those of you who think that's where this ends, I hate to disappoint you, or like to give you some more hope, because I don't think that's quite where this ends. See, Itachi's definitely going to want revenge for Sasuke's death, so he's definitely going to show up the second he gets a chance to fight Orochimaru. And with Kasame there, Orochimaru and Kabuto aren't winning this fight, so Orochimaru and Kabuto are probably actually dying here at the hands of Itachi and Kasame. since Tachi has no reason to keep himself alive, he'll probably kick the bucket not soon after this. And now we get to the Hidan Kakasu arc, which kicks off pretty much the same, with them finding out about the Akatsukis being nearby, Shikamaru and his team going out to go check on them, them failing to beat them, Asuma dying, and them going back to form a plan to try and to take care of these two immortal Akatsuki members. And here's where we get to what could be the biggest and arguably the final changing point where everything just kind of goes downhill for Naruto in general. You see, the fight against Kakuzu goes about the same up until Naruto showing up, and Shikamaru's dude takes out Hidan quite the same way. There's no reason why that doesn't happen. But you see, in this timeline, Naruto has no reason to learn the Rasen Shuriken. Kakashi would have never thought to try and counter Sasuke's lightning style with the Rasengan, the Rasen Shuriken, and therefore that's never created, which doesn't matter too much because Naruto doesn't have as good chakra control in this timeline anyway, so there's no guarantee that he would have mastered it anyway. So in this timeline, Team Shikamaru and Naruto fall to the hands of Kakazu, the Nine Tails captured by the Akatsuki. Now, at this point, this pretty much guarantees that the Akatsuki get all 9 Biju with no problem. There's no way Killer Bee is avoiding Obito, and yes, there's no guarantee that Obito would be the one to go after him. Even if he does manage to survive the other Akatsuki members, Obito will eventually go and get him himself. At this point, we get the resurrection of Madara, just like what he was originally planning with Obito. He makes the 10 tails and absorbs them to become the 10 tails Jinchuriki, casting the infinite Tsukiyomi on the moon. At this point, Kaguya appears and takes over Madara's body, and that's pretty much the end of Naruto right there. There isn't a person alive at this point who's even half of what Kaguya is, which allows her to take over the world and do whatever she plans fit. Sorry about this video being a little bit on the darker side towards the end, but in reality, this is probably what the best outcome for it would have been if Sakura hadn't exist. I had to make this video again just to show how important she is, even if she doesn't physically do a whole lot, what she contributes to the show as far as wisdom, skill planning, and just in all chakra control assumptions and all that. It's a very important thing that the ninjas have and need in order to get stronger. And I'll say this now, sorry for this video taking for so long. It's been a few weeks into production. A lot more thinking has gone into this than I would have liked to have thought. But if you like this video, please like and tell me what you think could have been done different and what you disagree with in the comments below. This has been Ken, and I will see you in the next video. Goodbye.